Fitness trackers for dogs, drone rodeos, and smart wine dispensers. At least somebody's having fun. It's the one and only Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. The BBC's technology reporter Zoe Kleinman and Guy Cocker, the global editor-in-chief of Stuff TV, are both there sampling the show's delights. And here they are. Hello, Zoe.
Hi.
Hi, jolly nice to have you with us. And hello, Guy.
Hello, good evening.
Hello. Are you both in the same place, by the way? Are you in different parts of Las Vegas?
I'm currently in the Luxor Hotel in the Las Vegas Strip, which is in the shape of a giant pyramid. And it's really weird because to get up to your hotel, you have to go up in a lift that kind of moves sideways. And actually, it's an incredibly unsettling thing because
That's a dream I have. It's very uncomfortable. Yes. Oh, dear.
It's very odd and a bit sort of juddery. The first time I was kind of clinging on by my fingernails by the time I got to the 10th floor.
Well, and Guy, obviously not together. So that's established that. What I want to know is what you've been doing and where you've been having fun. And Zoe, I shall let you start. What have you seen that just blew you away today?
Well, I've had an awesome day today, Rod. I've been outside of Las Vegas, sort of 45 minutes away in the middle of the desert, flying drones at Drone Rodeo. Takes place every year, and it's basically an opportunity for all the big drone manufacturers to show off their kit because, you know, there are very strict regulations around flying drones, even more so here in the US than in the UK, but you certainly can't fly them near people. So this is a sort of opportunity really for them to quite literally spread their wings. So I was flying this $5,000 drone made by DJI, which is one of the market leaders at the moment. It's an enormous thing. I mean, it was sort of bigger than me, really, and it sort of shot up into the air. And you have this controller that's really quite basic. I mean, it looks a bit like a sort of games console controller, you know, and yet with that, you're able to shoot this enormous aeroplane almost. You know, it's such a big aircraft.
Weren't you worried about crashing it?
I was a bit nervous about crashing it. I think the person who was demoing it to me was a bit nervous about me crashing it as well because he was kind of a bit reluctant to hand over the controls. But it was a really exhilarating experience, and it was fascinating to see how the cameras that these drones come with now are so good that literally from sort of 70, 80 feet up in the air, you know, he zoomed. We were able to zoom right in onto my handbag with me standing on the ground underneath it. So it really is interesting to see how far that has come in quite a relatively short period of time.
Guy, you've been to quite a few of these consumer electronics shows.
Yes, I have, yeah. And for me, it's always interesting, the stuff that you didn't know that you needed, but then as soon as you see it, you're like, why didn't this exist before? So you've got all of the huge, you know, the huge things at CES every year are the big TVs. So you've got Samsung and LG battling it out and Sony battling it out for dominance in your living room. But I've seen things like smart hairbrush from the company Withings. Now, they've got a number of smart trackers and scales, some of which I use personally, but this is a hairbrush. You know, obviously I'm not the intended market, as luscious as my hair is, but this is for people who brush their hair every day, and it tells them things like their overall brushing technique, whether they're stroking correctly, whether their hair is healthy, even connecting to the weather. So telling you what sort of hair product you're going to need in your hair that day. Yeah. And then there's the absolutely astonishing stuff that, you know, that the likes of myself sadly can't afford, but love the idea of. So there's a Faraday Future car. Now, Faraday Future are sort of main competitor to Tesla. Tesla have been making a lot of waves in the electronic car market. This is they've unveiled their new FF91 car. It'll hit it's an electric car. It'll hit 0 to 60 in 2.39 seconds. That's faster than any other street legal car you can buy right now. It'll do 378 miles on a full charge, which is pretty amazing. That's a good radius. You don't have to charge for 378 miles. You can make it a good distance in the UK on that. But we don't know how much it's going to cost right now. It's going to be probably astronomical, but you can pre-order it right now for $5,000 if you're in the US.
Just to get your name on the list. But the thing is going to cost as much as a Tesla, is it, or more?
I think so. Yeah, I think you're going to be looking at $100,000 plus for this thing. So yeah, it's not it's that sort of dream product. But the great thing about CES is this sort of technology will work its way down over time, and we'll all be driving cool electric cars at some point in the future, probably in the next
Yeah,
10 years.
what I thought. Well, look, as Guy said, Zoe, these are things that you didn't know you needed. And I know
Yeah.
you've got this. You've been working out this idea about sensors. Sensors and everything, and whether
Yeah.
in fact you can go too far with it.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think one of the really interesting things that's emerging from Las Vegas here this year is the fact that we're moving towards monitoring everything, and we kind of started it with wearables. We started monitoring our heart rates and our activity and our sleep and all of that kind of thing, and it's just sort of exploded. I mean, literally, there's so much hardware, gadgets, devices, everything you can think of seems to have sensors in it so that it can monitor what you're doing. And Guy mentioned the hairbrush there. I saw the hairbrush. It's got a big microphone in the middle of it. It looks really odd. So that as you're brushing your hair, get this, it can listen to how you're brushing. And if you're
Oh,
breaking too many hairs as you're going along, it'll vibrate to tell you to calm down and not brush your hair too hard. Everything seems to be suddenly needing a microphone because we're moving from communicating with things via typing into them to communicating via voice, because voice recognition technology is really taken off. So everything wants to listen to you and monitor what you're doing and try to make your life better. But the question is, do we really need to? Do we really need to? What I saw last night, and can you believe this, was a company, a French company, that's sort of offered this thing where it's like a sensor-enabled cube thing that will tell you exactly how to make the perfect cup of tea. Now, I think I just wonder whether actually we're sort of overcomplicating things here. And of course, the other thing to bear in mind is that all these sensors are communicating back to something, whether that's an app, well, generally it's an app, or another piece of
yeah.
hardware. So they're all internet enabled. What kind of security, if any, is in these places? Who else is going to be looking in on your tea bags? And obviously, it's not just about the fact that somebody could have a look at your tea bags. It's about what somebody could turn that device into. Essentially, it's a little computer that's as open to be hacked as anything else.
It really is a bit of a conundrum, isn't it? But the industry is going to carry on doing it, isn't it, Guy? I mean, if you're into sensors, then you're going to want to produce more sensors because that's more profit for your company.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like your tea bag game is on point. Sadly, mine I don't think is. So I was quite interested in that. Yeah, there is that danger of too much sensors and too much data entering in your life, and you've got a lot of companies now, security companies, that are saying they're going to produce routers, which is sort of the first point of access into your home, that will lock down these devices and make sure that hackers aren't going to get in and access them. And as you get more and more devices into your home, the big thing at CES every year is smart fridges, these fridges that will, allow you to look into the fridge and see if you've still got any milk left, and then order, in the US at least, with retailers over here, just order more milk to your door so you don't have to even think about it. I think that, one of the things that it's interesting, was one of the things that is a danger of modern life is, whenever you have a symptom, whenever you come down with an illness, you end up checking Google, and there's loads of conflicting anecdotal evidence about what you should do. One of the interesting things that I saw was from a company called Bloom Life, was this belt that pregnant women can put across their bellies if they're having contractions, and then monitor whether their contractions mean that they're actually going to be having a baby. They're meant to wear it for sort of last month or the last trimester, and so there is a danger, though, that you end up having a monitor for everything, and you sort of overcomplicate your life when, a trip to the doctors is all you really need. I know in the US, at least, it's a little bit more expensive if you want to go and get checked out by a doctor, but
Yeah.
there is this danger of over-quantifying your life and doing very simple things like, if you are having contractions, just go and see your doctor.
Yeah. Now, this goes to an extreme, doesn't it? And I wonder if Zoe could tell us about Piper the Wonder Dog.
Oh, Piper the Wonder Dog. Unfortunately, I'm not sure that Piper the Wonder Dog and I are going to be friends, but I did meet a company, a startup firm, who were showing off a dog collar. It was sort of like a little black box that you could stick to your dog's collar, and it said that it would analyse the behaviour of your pet in order to improve your relationship. And so by looking at various behaviours that your dog exhibited, it would be able to tell you, for example, if your dog was hungry, if it was thirsty, if it was poorly, what its sort of needs were. And I had a long chat with them, and I was trying really hard to get my head around this, but I couldn't really see the need. Surely if you're at work, was the example they gave, and you can get a notification from your dog saying your dog is thirsty. Well, what are you supposed to do about that?
What are you supposed to do about that? Yes,
exactly.
you're all the way
I'm sitting
across
here in
town.
Las Vegas, chatting to you, and my dog at home in Hampshire is thirsty. Well, what can I do about that? Surely that's just going to add more stress rather than less. It's a kind of, it's an interesting idea, but I just couldn't see the point. And I was also trying to say, but sometimes animals, just like us, exhibit behaviour that doesn't necessarily mean anything. We're just a bit tired, or we just, I don't know, we happen to, do something at random. And that whole kind of randomness of human behaviour and indeed animal behaviour is sort of being factored out. I saw this amazing wine dispenser, like a smart sommelier that would pick you the perfect wine to go with your dinner and pour it for you at the perfect temperature. And it comes in a little kind of test tube size that's perfectly measured to be, the perfect sized glass of wine. Now, we know, you and I, sometimes when you've had a bad day, you want a bit more than the standard glass of wine, or maybe you're driving and you want a bit less. But that kind of humanness just doesn't exist in this world, I think, and that's a shame.
Yeah, it's rather pity. Were there an awful lot of robots wandering around, Zoe?
There are a lot of robots here, yes. AI is a massive thing this year. I was talking today to the chief scientist at Baidu, which is kind of the Google of China, and he said artificial intelligence is like the new electricity, and it started with the search engines. The search engine firms have been doing it for years because that's how they've been working out how you get your search engine results. But now it's kind of mushrooming into other areas. Lots of robots designed as companions for children and also the elderly. And things like digital assistants, you will know about the Amazon Echo and Google Home, because those are the sort of big names at the moment. But there are these sort of speech-based assistants that sit in your home. They can tell you the weather forecast, they can tell you the news, they can find music, they can control your lights and your heating if you've got a smart home. And we're just sort of starting to see that really take off now. So yeah, I think that there's a lot of robots here, and there are going to start being a lot more in our homes in the coming 1 or 2 years, I would say.
And Guy, with your world-weary view of these things, are there signs of the stuff that's actually going to make it into the shops? For example, obviously, 3D TVs is day before yesterday, but are curved TVs still going to be on sale in 6 months' time, or are they too headed for obscurity?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, a lot of the stuff, I would say half of the stuff that we saw last night at this event called Unveil probably will never actually make it to market. It's very sort of high concept stuff. The things that people are actually going to buy are, like you say, the big TVs. And it feels to me like this year is really going to be the year when people really invest in 4K TVs. And to that end, Samsung has announced its new QLED technology. LG has the latest OLED technology. Both fantastic looking sets that have sort of slight variations, but LG's really made a massive inroad in that, and they're sharing their technology with the likes of Sony and Lerva, so they've really nailed the latest panels and making them look absolutely fantastic. I think it's taken a while for 4K content to catch up. Now the BBC's catching up, Netflix and Amazon are providing a lot of content. The latest sporting events are coming out in 4K, so it's that content that drives the adoption of the technology, as well as TVs getting cheaper. And it's still for the very best TV, for the LG TV, that's the number one on Stuff's list of TVs to buy. It's still about £2,500 for a 55-inch, so it's still very expensive. So they're going to be driving those down more and more. I think the overwhelming trend here for me is like you said, there was Amazon Echo. Everything is working with Amazon Echo, and actually that's made big inroads. A lot of people got them for Christmas. All of the devices that people are buying for their smart home, whether it's centralized heating or lighting, is going to work with Amazon Echo, and that seems to be the thing that everyone's saying, oh yeah, and it works with Amazon Echo. Right. Whether it's vacuum cleaners or TVs or whatever it is, it's going to work with Amazon Echo or Google Home, but it's certainly Amazon Echo seems to be the one that's leading.
Guy, thank you, and Zoe, thank you, and off you go and have a well-measured glass of wine. Thank you very much, both.